Hey everyone, this video is going to be a little different. Normally I talk about video games or anime, but this time I'm going to talk about Aaliyah. I'm talking about this because I just saw that Lifetime Aaliyah movie not too long ago, and it was horrible. For the most part, it was horrible, but there were a few parts in there, that stood out that they did get right. Like the beginning, how, her aunt Gladys Knight gave her some confidence and everything. Yeah, that did happen in real life. Matter of fact, like Aaliyah's first album, Agent Nothing But a Number, her aunt Gladys Knight is the one introducing her on the very first track of the album. So that they got right, and then, but I didn't like how the whole thing with R. Kelly and Aaliyah, they made it seem like a soap opera. Was because I know Aaliyah probably felt something for him, but I don't think that was how it happened. I'm pretty sure there was more to it than that. And overall, they could have put more exciting stuff in the movie. They just, because they were missing a lot of stuff that Aaliyah did. When she did a lot of performances, she didn't just go, "Oh, I'm gonna do music videos. I'm gonna sing and do all this." No, because half of the performances she did were for charity too. When she was starting out, she was the kind of person that she could care less about her fame and all that. What she really cared about was her family. That much they got right in the movie. She cared about her family. She cared about giving away to people in need. She could care less about being rich and famous. She was very humble, so that much they did get right about her. And the actress that played Aaliyah, she did a good job, but she was just working with what she was given. So I don't blame her for how they portrayed Aaliyah, you know. But Aaliyah wasn't just anyone. I mean, come on. They could have done a better job with this. Because look back at some of the other biographies. Like, look at Selena. That movie came out, I think, was like 97, 98 when the movie came out. Maybe 96, 97. But I remember I remember Selena. Jennifer Lopez, she looked nothing like Selena, but for the most part, she played the part right, because Selena, they made it exciting. They showed some of her exciting performances, because she started out as just like a street artist. She wasn't an industry artist, and, how she was really known for kind of bridging the gap between English and Spanish people in a way that no one could think about because I remember the beginning, they show that they start off with that great performance of hers and then they kind of go back in time to show her father and his band when they were younger and how no one would accept them because they were Spanish and they weren't singing Spanish, they were only singing in English. But Selena, she was able to play it off like she knew Spanish even though she didn't. And it didn't matter that she didn't know Spanish, she was able to captivate the hearts of millions because she was a genuine person. She was very charismatic and friendly. She also everything she did, it was always for not herself. She was glad to be famous, but she was always thankful for the fans that supported her. And she would always go way out of her way to help her fans to put on a good show for them. And that was something to really admire about Selena. And that she had some crazy hopes and dreams, some that might have seemed childish to a lot of people, but think about it at times, sometimes I think we all have some crazy dreams that we never think in a million years would be possible, and then somehow we accomplish them. But anyway, back to what I'm saying about this and the Leah, like, so Lena, they put a lot of the exciting moments in her life, of her life, in that movie, and it was a theatrical release. They could have done the same kind of thing with Aaliyah, even if it was just a telefilm. They could have made it more exciting. Even though I hope they do some kind of theatrical release, because this wasn't just any singer. Aaliyah was known for changing music the way it was, and the way we see music today, because her whole philosophy of when she made music, when she was making alive and making music, she was mixing the old school with the new school. So the old soul kind of hip hop R&B sound, I guess vocals or sound, with a new age sound, basically. And that's where Timbaland and Missy Elliott come in. Because while R. Kelly did help her with the start, he created something entirely. They created, the two of them together created something entirely different. When Aaliyah got with Timbaland and Missy Elliott, it was like wow, because it was like nothing we'd ever heard on the radio before. Like, because a lot of the '90s music was kind of using what had already went on in the '80s to just kind of carry on the music, while Aaliyah kind of pushed things forward. And she would use her music to promote a lot of things, and like wow, she was an amazing singer. She did an amazing job when she did her, I guess, R&B pop cover version of Journey to the Past from the movie Anastasia. I was like, oh wow, I love the song in the movie, but when Aaliyah sang it, I was like, oh wow, she added a whole new depth to it. Because I remember when that movie was released, like, when it was big, and it wasn't Disney, but Fox Animation did a good job with that story, and Aaliyah did a good job with that song. So much that she had become the youngest singer, I think, to sing um at the movie award, the Grammys, or something like that. She became the youngest singer at one of those perform things, and I was like, wow, that is awesome. Just to know that. And Aaliyah was very classy. Like, she had a very urban style, but she was also classy, and she was beautiful. She didn't need to flaunt it, and she didn't. She would make these videos looking, you know, all sexy and everything, but she would not worry about touching herself all in the video. Because she didn't need to. She didn't need to do that. Even in videos like "We Need a Resolution," she didn't really touch herself. She would just she was just kind of busy there playing with the snake that was, I guess, that was part of her wardrobe for the video. And while Aaliyah was, I guess, progressing through her second album, like Beyonce and Destiny's Child was starting, and their music, it sounded more or less like whatever was on the radio. Not that the songs weren't good, because they had some songs that actually were good. But Beyonce was very jealous of Aaliyah. Some people think they were friends, but no, they were not friends. They would just smile because they were on camera. You know, you're on camera, smile. But they would always show that they were not friends. They did not get along at all, in fact. And Beyonce was just because she wanted to be Aaliyah. She wanted to be that girl that got all the attention, that girl that was known for doing some crazy stuff in the music and for being the leading lady in music. But that was Aaliyah. Beyonce, I mean, as Destiny Child, some songs, even if they had a good rhythm, so they were very self-centered. Like one song that comes to mind right now is I forget the name of it, but I remember the rhythm where they're like, "Can you pay my bill? Can you pay my telephone bill?" I'm like, "Okay." It doesn't sound like someone who's very um good-hearted and loving. That sounds like someone who's selfish. If you're gonna say have that, and then there's the other song going. There's Check on It, which was one of their. I would think if not their last song together, it was one of the last few songs they did together because that's when they started shifting the focus to Beyonce, and all the other girls were not happy with it. Like yeah, now it's been years and they're over it, but at the time it was a big deal because they were still a group. So while they did all that, Aaliyah was going strong. She was solo, and she's reaching the height of her career. And at this time, she's studying for acting. She completes all her studying for acting, and she does two movies. Romeo Must Die, which that one was with Jet Li, and I still have not got the chance to see it, but I know it was a Romeo and Juliet story, basically, and I can imagine it was awesome. And Aaliyah contributed some music of her own to the soundtrack for that movie. One of the songs, which was actually used to promote it, being, Try Again. No one can not go over and talk about Aaliyah and not know about this song because, the rhythm was, it was like, it was good. It was more than good. It was crazy good. It was because it was one of those dancing kind of songs. But it was an R&B song. It was like one of those more upbeat R&B songs. It wasn't just an R&B song that was emotional about being jazzy. It was one that you could actually dance to, and Aaliyah was known for doing that. Um, between her lyrics and you know Timbaland and Missy Elliott doing the music, but then there was also um, some of the last few songs she did, like "Rock the Boat," her last song, which it had a very tropical rhythm to it, so it makes sense that she was doing the video in Miami and in the Bahamas. Like some of the shots in Miami, some of it in the Bahamas, and then after all the shooting and everything, she dies in a plane crash, and that was depressing. I mean, and her family never really got answers for it. Not to mention that all the news reports, were coming out at the time, they kept changing the story. They kept saying this is what happened. No, wait, now this is what happened. And you could find some of those on YouTube, like the official news reports from when things actually happened. But no one can forget when Aaliyah died. That was, if you're a true Aaliyah fan, that is, because it was a very depressing day. It was a very depressing time for a lot of people for the next month or two at the least. Maybe for the first year or two. But nowadays, this is what brings me back to the Lifetime movie also being horrible, is that they counted on the ignorance of everyone not knowing what the people looked like, what the real people looked like. So they were like, let's just find people to play the parts and get this over with, because no one looked anything like their roles. The only person that looked anything close to their role was the actress that was playing Aaliyah, and that's because she had the hair for it, and you put on some glasses and some of Aaliyah's outfits, and yeah, she could pass up for Aaliyah. Or like some, because if you hide her eyes, she looks for the most part like Aaliyah. Um, but the fact that they went out of their way to disrespect the people, the Aaliyah and the people that helped her along the way, it's disappointing because they could have done a better job. They could have done so much better than what they did. And, her family, I hope they're all okay, of course. I know it's been years, but I also know that, to them, Aaliyah was, she was a young sister, a loving daughter. She wasn't just anything. She was very important to them because they were all very close. So, you know, I hope that someday soon that they do get to release her music because her music inspires positivity and creativity, and it did that for me. It does it for me too. Like even now, there are times where I'll go drawing something or I'll go writing, and I'm listening to some Aaliyah music, and then I end up writing something that I never thought I'd end up writing. Like I wrote something that looks more or less like a poem a while back, and I was listening to some Aaliyah music when I wrote it, so it came out sounding like a song. I Right now I'm a little tired, so I'm not even gonna try singing, but I'm gonna say more or less what it says. Um, Life is like a song. Every day is a new verse. For you. Every year a new rhythm. Live for the moment with no regrets. Remember the past, but keep dancing your way towards the future. You should never be scared to find your voice. So be here and just sing your song. No wait, I forgot one line in there. Somewhere in there I was supposed to say, "It's time for you to sing your song." Because but that's more or less what I wrote, and that came up while listening to Aaliyah music. It was just because you know Aaliyah kind of helped me to bring out, I guess, what I didn't know I had there on my mind. But Aaliyah was awesome, and I hope that kids from this generation get to see that Aaliyah was awesome. I hope that people get to remember that she was awesome. Because nowadays it seems like everyone just kind of glossed over her. Like who is Aaliyah? She's dead, done and buried. Like, but no, Aaliyah does not deserve that treatment, considering how good-hearted she was, as well as she wasn't just any singer. She was someone who changed music. So she wasn't just a random singer from the 90s. She was someone who made things different, who helped music to progress, giving us some of the music that we now know today. Some of the more modern day hip hop. We got it because of Aaliyah. Because she was known for changing things up. And I just hope people get to look into her music, or at least decide to look into her music, look at her videos, and to appreciate and admire her for it, but also get to enjoy her music. Because Aaliyah was that special. Beyonce, yeah, she's got a great voice, and she might write some of her own music, but for the most part, a lot of the things she sings, they're written for her. Because as soon as Beyonce went solo, it was like she became a completely different person. Because she does not depict herself as a Christian as she says she is. when it comes to my what comes to mind with this is her very first video, Crazy in Love. I'll admit, the song was catchy. I like it. It had a catchy tune to it. And I thought the video at the time was good, but, being younger, I was like 12, 13 years old, and I didn't know a lot of the stuff I know now about what went on between her and Aaliyah and all of that. But from what I know now, I can definitely say that Aaliyah was and her were not friends. So much that when Beyonce made her for the Crazy in Love video, she tried to come off as like, look, Aaliyah, you're dead. Like, I'm Aaliyah, everyone. I'm the top girl now. She was flaunting the fact that Aaliyah died, like, saying, oh, everyone, look, I'm sexy, touching herself and everything in the video. Aaliyah didn't need to do that to herself for us to know that she was sexy. And she didn't. But Beyonce, she's another story because everything Aaliyah wouldn't do, she did do. And that's not someone who's humble if you're gonna do something like that. Not only that, but that video, it flaunted Aaliyah's death in a way that people didn't realize. Like, one thing that comes to mind is one of the parts where she's going, uh-oh, like, she's shaking her butt or whatever, and she's wearing Aaliyah style of clothing, the street style of clothing, where she goes, want to talk to my friends before I leave, and they go, who you think he is? Something like that in the video and the song. In that video, because that part of the video, she was wearing Aaliyah's style of clothing, like, yeah, girl, you're dead, now I'm taking over. Because that was the impression she gave off, like the attitude in the video. And like Aaliyah didn't like her, but Aaliyah didn't, you know, talk about her in her music like that. Like she wouldn't go, "Hey Beyonce, look at me." She wouldn't do any of that. Aaliyah was very, I guess, composed about it. But anyway, this video has been on long enough. I just wanted to say that I think the Aaliyah movie was a disappointment, and I started reminiscing because Aaliyah was that amazing. She wasn't just anyone. She was an awesome singer, and I think people should recognize her for it. But I also think, and as well as I think that people shouldn't gloss over her. Like, it's sad to see that almost none of her music is around here in the States. Like, cause what do you love? Things like iTunes or Hate It and all. You know, Sometimes I go shopping on iTunes, and it's depressing to see that in the American store we have nothing of Aaliyah, but I also have a Japanese iTunes account, and on the Japanese store they have pretty much all her music on the Japanese store. So it's sad to see that we don't have her music, and she was an American singer, but in Japan they have her. Because she was that awesome. But anyway, I hope you all have a nice day and comment, do whatever, and think about it like yourselves. Like, think about Aaliyah and everything. Even listen to her music, and maybe you'll see what I mean. But anyway, have a nice day, y'all. Bye.